Hey guys, Somebody's Gun here. Today we're going to be breaking down and understanding the rotations on the map. So one thing that I've found very helpful when trying to understand the game from a macro perspective is seeing the different areas people could rotate from and where they could wind up at over a certain period of time. So I broke that down, whether it be walking from a POI or taking a boat from a POI. It's going to give us two different perspectives to see where people can wind up over time, and then should help us understand how the map works out and how the rotations work out. So I'm going to dive into it. If you guys enjoy the video, if you find it helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. Definitely appreciated it. And let's get all right, so the first one here is going to be the distance that you can walk over 2 minutes. So each of these yellow circles represents the distance that a player can walk from the center and then walk around. So let's take, for example, the authority. You start the dead center of the circle. Within 2 minutes, you can walk in any direction here that's possible. That is within 2 minutes based on the size of the map and based on travel speed, right? Obviously, you can't walk all these distances, so it's going to vary slightly. But what we do wind up seeing is these overlapping layers and multiple different places that people can wind up. So these are going to be areas of congestion because that's going to be where people can collide over certain periods of time. It's physically impossible if you're walking to get to Pleasant Park in under 2 minutes from the authority, for example. Now, obviously, there's boats and helicopters, and we'll go more into how the movement affects travel and congestion. But this is going to give you a good idea of just understanding, okay, here's about how far on the map players can walk in 2 minutes, and then we could dive in further based on that analysis. Then, just like the walking, this is how far you can travel in a boat over 1 minute. So it's less time, but greater distance because of the speed that you can travel in a boat. And some of the circles are off-centered from POIs, such as Lazy Lake or Misty Meadows, because I wanted to do it representative of where the boat spawns are. So Misty, there's boat spawns here at the racetrack, and then there's one right here. So I wanted to center the circle that would give us a good idea as to where an actual person grabbing a boat and traveling from would be able to rotate. So take a look at this, and again, we're going to start to see like this center area, this island is going to be very congested, because if we were to increase these circles and expand them to 2 minutes instead of 1 minute travel time, it would take up a large majority of the map, and that's not really going to be helpful to us understanding where players are going to wind up. But we will see certain areas of the map, such as outside and in between Frenzy and Authority, Salty Springs area. This is always going to be a high congestion, as well as this area. That's a little different when we come down here because boats aren't going to play a factor, but Lazy and then to the north and west of Lazy are always going to be typically higher congested because people are going to be rotating through from Caddy, from Retail, from Misty, out of Lazy. This is where we're going to start to see patterns and congestion that is going to be helpful for us understanding our rotations. Okay, now that we understand rotation times, distances, overtime, and where people can wind up after they loot, it's important to know that it takes people anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, typically in solos, to loot and farm. I went back, watched quite a few games from the solo FNCS, and based on that performance, we saw people getting there, landing and looting for about 2 minutes, or landing and looting for about 4. Anywhere in between there, 2 to 4 minutes, is going to be safe to say that people are still looting their POI. There's much less smaller POIs to loot at this time, so it's going to be advantageous to us that people are going to have full POIs or have to fight POIs, because it's going to probably increase the amount of time that people are looting for. So let's say it's towards that higher end, the 4 minutes. And let's start to think about what are people's thoughts and motions through the game, most people are going to want to do what's easiest for them. So let's say we get a zone, boom. Here's first zone. And we get one guy at Rig, one guy at Fortilla, one guy here. We get a guy at Misty. Someone lands in the middle. Just giving us an idea of, where different players may land. And we're talking about solos right now. So these are all, let's say we get 2 players at Sweaty. There's a guy here. Someone lands here. Another player back here. Get someone land Boat. Someone lands Craggy up here. Boom, boom. All right, just a general idea of here's where players are going to be. And why do I say that players want to do what's easiest? Well, most of the time, you forget the zone's coming. Or most of the time, zone and rotation isn't the first thing that's going to be on your mind. So you're rotating or you're fighting, and then zone is now at your back and you're like, oh crap, I gotta get in. So immediately is what you're going to your first thought is going to be, okay, let's white line it in, do what's easiest for us. So let's say for this example, everyone does that. Now we can see a pattern that there's a lot of people and congestion within this central area here. And based on the amount of rotational items, we'll start to see people clump up on the edge of zone here in different physical terrain areas. So this place, Salty, the Authority, all these different smaller actual grounded places are going to be spots that people start clumping up on. And why do I say that? Because that's what's easiest. Now you're playing solos, stress starts to get to you. You're taking a boat in. It's not very protected. You're coming from, let's say, the yacht. You're taking a boat in. You get to the Authority. You start getting shot up. You're going to box up there. You're not going to continue to boat on further if you're getting shot. So then there's one player that's going to be stuck on edge of zone. And then another player comes in. He's on a boat. He starts to get shot at. They're going to box up at the Authority, right? And then so this constant almost domino effect of one player shooting at one player, rotating in, can cause then another player, let's say the guy from Steamy comes in and he wants to third party this. So then now there's another player on top of this. And this is all going to continue to affect how the game plays out. And my main point that I want to get through in this video is telling you guys to rotate early and get to dead side. Use the edges of the map, especially because there's so much movement. So if you're moving around the edge, here, there's going to be so much less congestion and you're going to be able to do it faster. Previously, all you could do is walk, jump pad, or boat through. Now there's helicopters, there's whirlpools all over the map, and you can swim, which is even faster than walking. So if you're using and understanding your loop path, that's going to help you loop faster and get out of your POI to rotate early and get dead side. And dead side is typically always going to be the outside of the circle in reference to the map, but not always. So here's our layout here. Let's move on to next zone so we can try and get an understanding of, okay, we get zone 1 here, then boom, here's zone 2, right? So then we got a cluster of people here, cluster of people here that came over. These people were just chilling, farming up. Had a few people over here. And then Rig and Fortilla still just farming, chilling. So then once again, anyone that pushed towards the backside here, is likely going to be rewarded. But the terrain is important, right? Because in these massive water zones, you can't just always rely on deadside. Sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice deadside for a good land position, because you got to waste extra mats to build in the water, and typically you're going to be out in the open and leave yourself vulnerable. So in this zone, this is going to be the deadside. Now what you have to be careful about is how many players line up in this small area right here, right? Because say you don't get next zone, you're going to have to go across the bridge or water or fly across in order to rotate. So if not a large number of players box up across there, this is going to be a safe dead side of the zone to chill on. Now, you could also risk landing and staying in rig, because that's going to give you, again, that same dead side effect. There's not going to be as many players. Most of the player base is going to be in this area. And that's, again, from the domino effect we talked about earlier, that one player comes in, starts to hold another player. Another player comes in, wants to third party that fight. Another player comes in, starts getting shot at by a third party here, and they're in a boat, so they're going to hop out and once again box up. Just think about players' tendencies as doing whatever's easiest, especially in open tournaments. Now, when you get up to the higher levels, it's going to be much more different. Players are going to do things that are smarter, just straight up. Pro players are a hell of a lot better than most people at this game, so they are going to do smarter plays, smarter rotations. But when it comes to opens, you have to think people are going to do the easiest possible rotation, play, box up, whatever it may be. Now, to wrap this up, what I really want to get across is, because of the openness of the map, the water, the faster rotations, all the rotational items in the game, it is more important now than ever to try and rotate early and rotate to dead side. The clusters that happen in the congested pieces of zone are absolutely going to be killer when trying to play for placement. If you're looking for elims, obviously look for those congested areas. We've seen where they are. They're going to be central pieces of the map that have land, that are going to continually have players pile on top of one another. That is what you want to be looking for if you're looking for W keying and going for elims, but it's also going to be very dangerous because those are high congestion areas. You may want to force a dead side rotate. That way you could look for players that are going to be less open and less third-partyable to fight, and give yourself easier elims. I wouldn't say those players are obviously easier to eliminate, but there's going to be less people focusing that fight while it's going on. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and if any of my points or my rambling didn't make sense, feel free, let me know in the comments. Throw me a mention on Twitter, throw me a DM. I'm happy to explain. Also, I do almost daily streams, whether it be me playing arena trios, VOD reviews, creating educational videos, and commentary like this to try and help you guys out. So check me out on twitch.tv/somebody'sgun if you're trying to catch a live stream. If not, just feel free to enjoy the YouTube videos. I always appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. Hope you enjoyed the content. I hope it helps you guys out understanding the rotations in this meta, and just general player speed, distance, and travel time. So I'll see you guys next time. I'm Somebody's Gun, and thank you guys for watching.